Council with the best record in community projects. These awards were presented by the private sector firms of J.S. Stephen and Company Limited.
We have to understand that in the activities leading up to the 29th of May, that the government of the day, perceiving a mood in the country opposed to the pieces of legislation that were being proposed for Parliament, mobilized its security forces. 179 members of the Defense Force were mobilized, and they were brought to the Botanic Gardens every day to practice how they would disperse crowds, shoot and kill persons who had been identified to be eliminated, and otherwise to create a reign of terror in the land. And the unions perceived this and mobilized their forces and sought as well to inform all of the people of the country of the dangers that face this country. And on the 28th of May, it was resolved that the people of Dominica would assemble outside government headquarters to demonstrate their disapproval of the action proposed by the government of the day. Those of you who were there will recall that people were asked, they were implored. You remember Zaboka on the 28th of May, myself and others, imploring the people, please, on the 29th tomorrow, when you go to government headquarters, no sticks, no stones, no bottles, no knives, nothing at all that could look like a weapon, because there were police and defense force out there, and no provocation. The only weapon that people were advised that they should have was a handkerchief or a bath towel soaked in water to protect their eyes and their nostrils from the tear gas which they expected would follow. And therefore the people who assembled outside government headquarters on the 29th of May 1979 were unarmed, peaceful citizens of this country, exercising their democratic rights to assemble and to protest in defense of the Constitution and the freedoms guaranteed in the Constitution. And you will recall, brothers and sisters, that after people had been there for 2 hours, and the police had been there for 2 hours, and there had been no incident, there had been no stones being thrown, there had been no injury, no riot, the defense force came up Kennedy Avenue. You will remember, and from a distance of some 200 yards, they opened fire and began to send tear gas at the people up Kennedy Avenue. You will recall seeing policemen in uniform dashing for cover because the defense force was not acting in collaboration and in coordination with the police. The police were being tear gassed like everybody else because it was a day when the defense force was let loose on the people of Dominica.
Meantime, at the Let Freedom Reign rally last weekend, commemorating the events of May 29, 1979, the ruling Dominica Freedom Party presented some new faces for the upcoming general election. The rally also sought to point the way forward for the Dominica Freedom Party.
And we have a program for the future development of this country, which will continue to build on the record of the last 14 years, which will continue to maintain the level of integrity, of financial responsibility, of communication, of relationship with the people of this country. We have a record, brothers and sisters, of which the people of Dominica will continue to be proud. Dominica had reached the bottom of the barrel. We were almost ashamed. In fact, many of us were ashamed to be called Dominicans. Can you imagine that our Prime Minister, Patrick John, our Minister of Finance, Vic Revere, and our Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General, Leo Austin, were not allowed to travel to Barbados because of their record in the governance of this country. Never again will that happen to Dominica. Certainly not if you exercise your vote with a sense of responsibility and a sense of where we are and where we should be as Dominicans. Because, brothers and sisters, when we say let freedom reign, we mean let integrity reign. Let the people of Dominica be proud of being Dominicans. Let us deal with the needs of the people of Dominica. The needs for housing, the needs for employment.
The leaders of the opposition parties want to continue to impress on the world that we are an unsettled country. You know, every now and then you hear Edison James putting hell on Ruthie Douglas, and Ruthie Douglas putting hell on Edison James. But the two of them have the same ideas that are against the country of Dominica. They want to insist that Dominica should go backwards rather than forward. But under Freedom Party, this will never happen, because we are determined that this country must develop, that the people in this country must develop themselves. They must be able to go forward. They must be able to do things for themselves. They must be able to rely on themselves. And we must find the means of ensuring that they are skilled enough to be able to do these things for themselves. This is what this government has been about. You know, people don't realize how many scholarships have been given by the Freedom Party every year for further training outside of Dominica, so that they can come back to us and be able to do the things that this country requires to raise the standard of living, to ensure that our people have a better life in the future. Because after all, what does a government want to do? What is the duty of the government but to improve?
What struck us immediately was the observation that some things can be marketed in a certain way and sold in the US, but you have to make a radical transformation when you come into Europe. You can't make the same presentation, you can't do the same labeling, and you're going to meet a different culture in terms of what people want and how they want to present it. So this is one of the important things that we recognized immediately. Now we are going to have to do some follow-up with Dexter, with the products, and of course they have identified only those products that they feel can be put there on their shelves and would have an opportunity of being sold. Some of those products they felt had a very good opportunity. Merely to be on the shelf of Harrods would be an achievement in itself.
All society should be very grateful to Archbishop Kelvin Phillips, because he was the one who got a few of us together and when he taught at the St. Mary's Academy. And he said, look, we must do something, and we had to do it very quickly. And that's how the organization started. And it's been building from strength to strength. And I'm very happy indeed to see that. We as government have played a very active role in ensuring that this house and other such institutions keep going. I should tell you it was a lot of begging, again, from the Canadians, and I myself assisted in writing up the project, which assisted as the local president has said, in the construction of the utility block and also paving underneath this place, because it was like a swamp until we got it going. And we shouldn't forget the role that USAID also played, because there was no pipe-borne water. And I can remember when the persons in here who had to assist, the inmates had to walk down to go to the river, and it wasn't an easy task. And again, USAID came to our rescue and made some funds available.